The time has come for the Great Awakening. Light warrior, remember your soul mission. Remember why you came to be on earth at this precise time. You see, light worker, we are anchoring new earth. We are reclaiming our sovereignty. We are shining the light of awareness so that the darkness can no longer prevail. Light warrior, you are required at this precise time to remember who you are. You see, light warrior, you have been told that you're not powerful, but the truth is you are powerful beyond all measure. Let us take you through this beautiful healing journey to remind yourself about the truth of who you are. Remember that you hold the key to recreate, to manifest new earth. You are the microcosm to the macrocosm. Through awakening your DNA, through allowing your meridian system to switch on and run with the golden light of awareness, through activating your chakra system, through raising your kundalini, you are going to recall that you are divine. You are going to remember that you are a unique piece of the puzzle to co-create with your brothers and sisters new earth. We are here to say no more to the darkness. We are here to say no more to anyone abusing our children. We are here to say no more to the government wanting to control us within an inch of our life. We are here to reclaim our sovereignty. Light worker, it is your time to rise. Welcome to 5D Earth.
Highest light, most evolved aspects of my infinite consciousness stream. I am calling out to you. Hear me now. Strengthen your presence within me, surrounding me, now and at all times. Strengthen your guidance. Strengthen your wisdom. Strengthen your protection. I am asking for your assistance here and now. Strengthen our bond. This is my highest will, and thy will be done, and thy will be done. So it is, and so it is.
Now and at all times, wisdom, protection, our bond. This is my highest will, and so it is, and so it is,
and so it is.
Namaste, beautiful souls. I've got the incredible Tone Mellard with us today, all the way from Cali, California. How are you going, Tone?
Not bad. It's absolutely beautiful weather here right now, 80 and sunny. And out where I live, it's not fun in the summer, but right now is ideal. Everybody comes here this time of year because of the weather here. So definitely can't complain.
Spectacular. And you're a mountain climber. You go out into the forest and receive your prana and also give back a lot as well, Tone. Like proper energy work with nature.
The mountain, I'm definitely a mountain man at heart, and the mountain is where I go to rest my spirit and to have my spirit embraced by something that is as large as my spirit.
How beautiful. And Tone, with our intro, we just heard this amazing track that you and I and a friend of mine, Taiwan Bing, collaborated on. You did the audio with the invocation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that invocation and how people can use that? Because it's going to be on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all over the place through our distribution channel.
Yeah, honestly, in the past few years, I have become increasingly aware of what our communication actually is capable of, and especially activating the throat chakra in connecting to our spirit, in connecting to the soul, to the higher self, to the creator. The more that you invoke through your throat chakra and make commands of what you would like, what your will is, the more that the universe listens, the more your spirit listens, the more the creator listens. And so the more that you activate that throat chakra and you speak what it is that you want, the more the universe will bend around, reality will bend around you and start listening and you'll see what is seemingly the miraculous, but it's not. It's just that we are in a reactive universe. And so the more you speak, the more it happens. There's a saying, abracadabra, and that saying means, as I speak, so I create. As I speak, so I manifest. And so this is one thing that I'm becoming increasingly aware of. I didn't used to like to talk very much, and now it's becoming more paramount that is important in terms of activating my oversoul, activating the dormant areas that I had before, and to grow into a larger path of empowerment and to connect deeper to my higher self. So basically the invocations are direct ways of speaking to spirit, speaking to the creator, speaking to the higher self, and asking for them to increase their presence both within you and surrounding you. And that sounds almost kind of funny because in reality, what we're perceiving around us actually is not out there. It's in here. It's in the totality of what we are. Everything we're thinking we're seeing and perceiving out there, it's literally just an extension of our own energy. But by saying that out loud, it's as if you're commanding more of that space to become proactive and interactive with you in that field. So that's one of the reasons that the invocations are so important, and probably something that I will keep dialing in and trying to make more concise with the language, because language is another big one that has been hijacked over the past several thousand years, and it's been inverted. And so now I think what's happening is the more that we're connecting to our spirit, to our soul, we're figuring out language that is more soul expressive, more soul interactive, and gets more results in terms of manifestation and empowering our own spirit, pulling more of the spirit into the body and channeling more of it in that space around us. And so that is one of the reasons why I keep increasing my speaking, even though at one time I didn't care to.
Well, I love that time, because I know I reached out to you. It would have been in 2020 when the shit was hitting the fan. And I was so relieved that I'd found this, soul brother on an online platform that was speaking my language. It's like, oh, okay, first of all, I'm not completely crazy, or if we are, we're all crazy together, and that's okay too. But there was that resonance there just through your vibrations, through your written word. And I reached out to do a show, and you were like, if my guides tell me to. And so I know now I'm doing a lot more speaking gigs, whether online, conferences, and certainly you can pick up that resonance within this track. And I'm going to encourage everyone to download it and to play it again and again and again, because it's a very, I've got goosebumps just speaking about it, Tone. It's a very commanding frequency. It's got that, obviously for you, that Native American tone, and your name is Tone. So it's kind of meant to be, isn't it, that you've been on this pathway. And I think it speaks to, Tone, that people would, some people may look up to you, even though you always teach us, no one's above us, no one's below us. But a lot of people would look up to you. And so I feel like it's really authentic that you can say, hey, you're still growing into certain aspects, bringing them online, and you do it in a way that I feel like what is great about the Indigenous, something they've always taught me, and I live with them part-time, is slowly. There's no rush here in terms of there's guaranteed evolution or devolution, but you don't have to rush to prove, to fit in, to be in a trending kind of environment. It really is about that soul aspect coming online in its own natural way, in its own rhythmic frequency that feels challenging, yes, but also feels harmonizing to us. So we can't take on everything all at once. And we're kind of like galactic brother and sister, I would say. So and you shared that for you, one of the aspects that's coming in is that Andromedan aspect that gets you to rev up and hold almost like that, I guess, balance when it comes to the war on consciousness that we're in. So everyone has a different way they speak about these galactic frequencies that we can attune to our multidimensional selves. What does that mean for you? And what does that mean for someone who's never heard about Andromedan frequencies? Because really, it's not even from this galaxy, Tone. It's intergalactic. This is how hypercharged some of these frequencies coming in really are.
Well, and look at the human avatar. The genetics are some of the craziest genetics of all, because we're a hybrid of many different ET species. We have had tweaks and things done to the genes codes in us over the past 100,000, 200,000 years. And we're basically like a combination of the local 12, but probably even more than that. So, the whole of humanity has backgrounds in, like my Cherokee background, Pleiadians. They have a big interaction with the Pleiadians. Most of the natives have a story. The Aborigines, the Syrians, and they've interacted with that kind of thing. But yeah, the Arcturians, the Andromedans, the Lyrans, we've got, you name it, and we're being watched by all of these beings as well, because of what is happening on this planet. And even some of that, we were actually inserted from those species soul-wise down here in order to infiltrate what was happening consciousness-wise. But yeah, to answer your question, almost the vast majority that are on this planet right now are not original to Earth. We come from the stars. We come from different places other than this. Some of us, some have been here for, 20,000, 30,000 years, but most of us from a soul category have had other incarnations not too far off in the distance on other planetary systems. And like you said, even intergalactic, coming from other galaxies. And then I've got an aspect that I know is not from this universe. So it's, when you think about it, if there was a call that was put out and it increasingly looks like that from down here, many of us answered that call from pretty much the entire multiverse. So like when you think about, the ET aspects and things, it's not even really a big deal, especially if you're operating from soul level, spirit level. Most of us have incarnated millions of times in different types of expressions and avatars, densities, galaxies, universes. So this is just like one tiny drop of sand going through the hourglass of time. It's not even really a big deal, but you have to first have your consciousness switched on enough to kind of remember, wait a minute, I remember being from elsewhere than this, which a lot of people inherently do. Even if that is not what it is, a lot of people say, it feels weird here. This does not feel like my true home. That alone is that soul aspect itching at the back of your mind saying, remember who you are. And so, yeah, to answer your question, it's not really even a big deal to talk ET when we think of the larger scope of things and how long we have been incarnating as eternal spirits.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of kids have those imaginary friends, have those memories online. I know with Chris, my partner, who you've done shows with as well, he used to draw the Orion constellation and tell his mother, that's home. And she's like, no, this is home, you're home. And he's like, no, that's home. And he's got the most precise memories, particularly of incarnations through there. The Syrians you talked about, you know, they just feel like everyone's best friend in the galaxy. Like the frequencies that you can tune into through these, and I would say as a psychologist that for me they're archetypal as well. So if people can't get on board with the ET, alien, star being, star family ideologies, then I would break it down into, okay, they're archetypal energies that we can bring into our consciousness or into our psyche perhaps. There's different ways that we all have a way to view, see, sense, and I would encourage anyone just to trust themselves and what they receive. Some people are more clairvoyant. They're very open in the third eye, so their visions are very much online. Other people are audiocentric. They hear it. People just know or feel it. We've got, obviously, you always teach us this in your post, Tone, which, you know, everyone, you're so beloved by so many of us and just keep us on track, you know, like you're like the metronome, Tone, you're coming in just going boom, boom, let's steady the ship, this is okay, we're all right, you're explaining it as we go. But the dreams that we're all having, you always teach how real those dreams are. And so I'd like to dive into dreams, but also we'll get into the astral, because you and I are very proficient in going in consciously into those spaces. But what's the relevance of dreams for people, Tone?
Well, I think they're a lot more than we have been taught and told, first and foremost. I think that's what we've been told, that it's all a conglomeration of subconscious, you know, mishmash being put together. There's entire worlds that we are accessing at night. Our subconscious is not just creating those. And also, to even further implement how untrue that is, many of these constructs that we see in dream time, we repeat going there. So if it was just some random conglomeration in your subconscious, oftentimes we're going to a place that we've never seen here in this incarnation, but going there repeatedly wherever that is. And so I would venture to say, because our consciousness is both local and non-local, we're accessing aspects that are more, if you think of it as an onion, we're accessing other layers of that onion of consciousness outward, and not just past lives, but also parallel existences, because our consciousness it's virtually infinite. And so a lot of that dream time, what we're accessing is other aspects of ourself, probably very close to this dimensional frequency, just outside of this bandwidth, but very similar to even the avatar that we're in right now. And so a lot of times it'll appear like I'm having a human to human interaction. Sometimes it's ET. So it just depends on where we're accessing, how close to this frequency. But yeah, the dream time, it's so much more than we have been taught and told by establishment. And that, of course, is by design, because they don't want you to really delve into that. Even things like lucid dreaming, people that have practiced that for a long time, that has changed their lives. Because even in the lucid dream, when they become aware in that dream, they can actually create what seems to be miraculous in that dream. And it brings even more of that type of an imagination into this reality, where they're like, what if I'm capable of that type of power? And sometimes they start to experience things that are eerie at that point. And so that's another reason why they just tell you, oh, your dreams are just random stuff, which sometimes it can be, but more often than not, it is something else. And then especially the astral travel, that's as real as you and I sitting here talking to each other, sometimes even more real. The astral travel, it's like I just got up out of my bed and walked around, but then all of a sudden I could take my arms out and start levitating, and it feels every bit as real as you and I sitting here talking. But the eerie part about that lets you know that there's something to it is the deja vu. There's an absolute deja vu that washes through you when you have an astral experience. For me, every single time, I have done this billions of times. This is so familiar to me that I know, wait a minute, there's more than just this physical body, way, way more than that. And then these other realms, I know in other realms and other forms of consciousness, I absolutely can levitate. I know I can fly. And so those kind of things become more prevalent. And the more of those experiences you bring back into this reality, the more it changes this consciousness to be able to bring those kind of messages through. So a lot of the messages you hear me giving are based on those experiences. So it's like I'm bringing, Terrence McKenna said, we're throwing out a trawling net into the ocean of consciousness and pulling something back that we can share. Our little fish of consciousness with the rest of the realm. And I love that because that's exactly what we're doing. Those experiences, they are experiences that expand consciousness. And then if we remember them, we can bring that experience into this realm.
Yeah, we're creating in the unseen realms. And, for me as a psychologist, dreams, it was the one place I could find. I was born a very psychic kid, always into the paranormal, supernatural. It was the one thing I could find that had at the time where consciousness was at, and I needed a degree in something because that was the thing, even though we didn't realize it's education really. Yeah. But it at least offered that mystical side. And so dreams for a psychologist are important. It's probably one of the only forums where it was always so important because it's your own counseling. It's your own guidance system. If you dream journal, you will always get a wisdom message. And so we're needing to open those astral doors, access those worlds at a whole other level, because really the reason I started doing these kind of more public shows, Tone, and wanting to speak with people like you is because of the events of the past few years. We had to have an experience where the whole world was shut down. What that does to consciousness is it zooms us back to go, this is a planetary situation. We're not just stuck in our little rabbit burrows of our own little worlds, me in Australia, you in America, wherever you might be, Europe. We suddenly zoomed out and we saw this bigger picture. And okay, who's running the planet? It's time to speak about the hidden forces, the dark forces, the shadow forces, bring them to light and to life, maybe first of all within ourselves. I know you are always talking about the micro, macro, that's part of what you teach as well. It's within us, as you said, even at the beginning of this show, with the sound and the commanding. It's to reframe and recalibrate our own auric system, our own nervous system. It's from within out. And there's ways to anchor these most harmonic patterns that want to come in and can restabilize this current planetary system, and where we're having, we could call it an avatar experience, however we see that or feel that or experience that. So it's absolutely powerful. And of course, Tone, also in the astral worlds is the AI. And this is where it gets very kind of freaky, I think, when people first start to learn, okay, so we've got ET, star beings, but then also there's forces that are, to coin your term, unensouled and messing with us as well. Maybe a bit of voice to skull technology. Maybe there's someone or something that we're interacting with either astrally, in our conscious awake state, or in dream state. What are those tricks to energies that we need to become aware of?
This is where it is getting more and more interesting, because it's fourth dimensional aspects, and it is not just in the astral. It's interfacing with us in waking consciousness now. And so even in relation to what you were saying, the world shut down and the jabs and things like that, what was that whole thing about? And still is about. It's their goal is to infiltrate the human with technology and to turn us more synthetic, turn us more technical, where we basically are receiving information from AI. And so in relation to like what you said in the astral, David Icke said something that I absolutely agree with. He said that even a lot of the astral AI and what many might say are the lower heavenly realms are still part of the simulation. So he believes that even when you go out of body, you're not always accessing a true astral realm or a true creator realm. A lot of times it's part of that simulation, part of the holographic overlay. But yes, in these realms and 4D, interpenetrating into this one, if we have a lot of archons, and archons, when Rion and I see these beings, they appear somewhat between what somebody might call like a shadow demon, but also AI. So it's almost like they're a combination of an unensouled entity type of being. But the more that you get into it, like if you have hand-to-hand combat with these beings and you hit one, you see what looks almost like circuitry running through a lot of these beings. And the way that they operate is like a program. And so we're seeing a lot of that in the astral. Also, when the dream time is really, really bizarre, where you have like a bunch of dreams that don't make any kind of sense, don't even really have any like relation to what you're going through in life. It's just super bizarre. A lot of times that's those entities, that's that program running something into your dream sequence to create that sequence around you, almost like it's putting you in an interactive 360 movie where you're all of a sudden you're immersed in high strangeness. And sometimes, and increasingly so, what we're seeing now is that happening in 3D here, where all of a sudden people are getting hit with weird waves of behavior, weird waves of like emotions that come out of nowhere. And what Rion and I have been seeing is there's cords that are being plugged into the individual. So when you see it with your third eye and you scan the person's aura, you see what looks like a dark cord of energy, usually plugged into the neck area, sometimes the top of the head, sometimes the back of the head. But these cords are running into people, and they serve two purposes that we've seen so far. One is they're doing surveillance on the individual, watching everything they're doing, listening to everything they're saying. And another reason I like to use those commands is some of those commands are commanding that out. You do not have permission to access or influence me. Get out of my space now. So that's another reason for using those types of invocations. But the second thing that we've seen is these cables that are plugged into the person are also like a computer terminal. And so from that archonic realm, which is highly AI, this wire goes into the person and a program is being pulsed through that into the individual. Sometimes it's a program saying you're in despair, you're depressed, you're upset. And all of a sudden the person goes, I don't feel like living right now, but I don't know why. And we're like, I know why, I can see it. And so we'll go in and pull that off of that person and then patch up, because a lot of times it leaves a little micro tear or hole in the auric field. So we'll pull that cord out and then patch it up to make sure that it's not easy access for that to happen again. But that's one of the things that we're teaching people is awareness of your energy field, because yes, your energy field extends out, but there's also a lot of things that want to get in. And so you have to constantly, even the more that you expand, the more energy sensitive and aware you have to be, because now your field, you're aware of it extending out 50 yards. And sometimes so are they on the other side. And they're like, ooh, that's a big battery source. Let's plug in. And before you know it, you see a person walking around, they've got 50 cords attached to them. And they're like, I don't know what happened. Like all of a sudden I lost my will to live. And I'm like, let me look. Oh, I see exactly why.
Yeah, because you see, you're a proper medicine man, proper healer from way back. And what people need to take away is that they are that battery source. They're powerful. It's these conversations are never meant to scare, frighten, disempower. It's actually the reverse. We're saying you're this source of energy that lower grade, lower dimensional creatures are wanting to tap into, plug into, to animate them, to sustain them. And so when we have these, again, come back to the invocation, that's our theme for this show, we have this command that says, you will exit my orbit and you will not plug back in. And so it's consciousness training always. We're always choosing to not let anyone access our energy unless they're given permission. And so all of these concepts around sovereignty that have been featuring very strongly in the collective narratives for so many years, people are really starting to live it and starting to turn to souls like yourself. And I guess there was a reason why your guide said don't speak. It wasn't the right time, and now is the right time, because it's real. This sense that we are having a battle, and it's at a consciousness level, it's at an invisibility level sometimes. And are we crazy, or is there something going on where we're really needing to expand within our, well, I would say divine architecture? And I was sharing this with you on Messenger the other day, Tone, that what I've been shown is a lot of different sacred geometrical patterns that are coming in and anchoring into the auric system. So it confirms then, you and Rione more on the warrior side. I know Chris more on the warrior side, getting in, cleaning up, and then the healers coming in and going, okay, let's now imprint this new divine architecture. We're all working really in different roles and in different ways, but as one collective tribe who came to, well, I can see it as a love net, I know, like Rione and you guys in America, the Team Light and those movements that normalize some of these conversations, give a sense of tribe, give a sense of community, but also it's go time, it's absolutely go time. Yeah. Some people come to me that I like the term war or battle. Oh, Carrie, you're a yogi, you can't talk about war. It's just like, oh, hang on a second, because you look at the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is on the battlefield and he's slaying his own demons. Now, whether you see them as inner demons, outer demons, at this point, it really doesn't matter. We have to get on board with these frequencies that are wanting to siphon. And there's ways, and there's simplistic ways, Tone, that we can command our energy fields. List some of the ways you always teach us, but for those that are new to these conversations, what are some of the most simplistic ways that we can keep ourselves in a state of homeostasis, in a state of true centered balance, and what that would mean for us individually?
Well, of course, meditation would be number one, because you're basically doing mental, emotional inventory by doing that. And it doesn't have to be sitting on a mat for, an hour at a time. I literally can do mental check-ins in seconds. And all I do is I close my eyes and I say, observe my mind. Observe each thought. Observe each vision that rises and falls in my mind. Observe. And then that's exactly what I do. I pull all of my attention into the space that thoughts arise, fall, vision screen, whatever it is, however you see, hear, experience in your mind, take all your attention and look there and just watch it for a few minutes. Don't even try to stop the thoughts, just watch your mind very closely. The watching alone is pulling more presence inward. It's actually engaging your higher self to watch your mind. And that is a very underrated, very powerful exercise. And it literally just takes seconds per day. But you can do those mental check-ins several times a day. Observe my mind. Observe each thought. Observe my emotions. And then you can take that further. If your emotions feel out of whack, where's this coming from? What is this I'm feeling? Is this mine? or is this coming from elsewhere? And if it's coming from elsewhere, observe it and then remove it. And then again, to make it more concise, if you feel like you're under attack, if you feel like there's something hitting you, even beyond just the invocation, you can literally ask your higher self, can you clear me right now? Can you see if there's anything on me? And if so, can you please remove it? If there's any entities that are around me, say you're feeling uncomfortable, jumpy, like you feel like there's something that's in the room with you, higher self, whatever that is, can you grab it and get rid of it? Think of your higher self as the right hand of God. It's that powerful. It will grab anything of any size near you like a little puppet and grab it and get rid of it. But you have to say it. You have to make that your will. And then again, a command, a very basic command that I use all the time, nothing but the highest light may enter my sacred sovereign space, and so it is. It's that simple. Nothing but the highest light may enter my sacred sovereign space, and so it is. You're making the command for your energy. Yeah, only the highest light is allowed in your space here. And so that is a very simple way. One other way of clearing that I've gotten really into the past several years is deep focused breath work. That there is a game changer. It resets the chemicals in the brain. It resets your body's energy system. And by breathing really fast, you're bringing a charge of chi into the body. You're pulling more and more chi into the body. And by doing that, you're raising your core temperature of the body. You're raising a static charge in the body. Now, when we get into the subject of the AI and the nanotech, when you're raising that charge, what's also in that chi and that charge? Electricity. So basically, if you've got a bunch of nanotech that's swimming around, the more charged you are, the better your electrical circuits are running. It is like having an internal EMP. Boom. So that is one reason to hit the breath work consistently, is because you are activating your own internal EMP. So that's a very powerful one. So meditation, the vocal commands, and then also deep focused breath work. Those will change your energy. Those will help clear you very, very powerfully, and they don't take a long time.
Yeah, it's so simple. I think people often miss it. I mean, It's the time for the trip is I'm glad I've worked in this field for so long, because it is innate, I think, for people like you and me just to use these quote unquote tools. And it does remind me of technology within itself. And maybe consciousness needed to reach this point where we've got the battle with the AI, the divine intelligence, versus the artificial intelligence. And we're not even, well, I'm not making artificial intelligence wrong, but I'm calling it out for what it is. I'm seeing it for what it is. I'm seeing it as a second grade mimicry system wanting to mirror who we are. Because you can listen to Tony, he's talking about commands. I'm looking at my keyboard here. I've got a command button. Like, why aren't we using it within our own divine technology? Why are we outsourcing it all the time as if AI is superior or AI is going to give us an easier way of life? It can be used certainly in service to the all, but it's got to be programmed by someone who has a very discerning mind. Yes. If we don't have a sense of what that AI is creating for us and who's at the end of that AI, who's bringing in the technology, what really is maybe the hidden agenda of some of these AI tools that seem very alluring, then we're leaking that auric fluid or that auric prana, that chi, whatever you want to call it. We're leaking it again, and it's building empires. It's building empires of these AI tech gods. And you don't want to get caught in some of these empires that that these creatures want to build. And I'm not against any any galactic race. A lot of people assume that I'm against the reptos and the mantids. No, I see the perfection in all the races when they come into balance. Everyone's got to play their cycles out in those different consciousness streams. But when they're excess and when they're polarized tone, they really can cause destruction. And from our Australian Indigenous, they know that one of the seed races here in Australia is the reptilian, is the draconian. They've learned a lot from the Draco. Dracos are great healers. They're great innovators. They love travel. They're even, they can do things supernatural, I suppose. And in its right sense, in its balanced sense, great. But certainly we're seeing that draconian overlay, not just in Australia, but all of the planet. We're under draconian law in most countries. This imposition and this ordering around that the Draco love to get into, and the might is right type of energy that they bring. They're building their empires. One of the ways I see they build their empires is obviously the taking of innocence, whether we call that more the Luciferian type streams of consciousness. Also, the drawing out of the feminine womb is creative energy. You see some of these reptos getting around with their fancy cars and their big buildings, and they usually have a harem of women that they're actually plugging into sexually in order to siphon that energy and build their empires. So we've seen that play, I guess, through the 80s and the 90s and how they build their empires. But it's getting even more subtle. And that plug-in effect that you talk about that comes in through the auric body, again, is it real? Some people say, well, I can't see that. But we can see Wi-Fi. We can see how that works, the waves, the electromagnetic waves, the distortions. So I always see, Tone, that we created our own reality for our own, interest. And we're really, I'd say we're some of the most powerful beings in the cosmos that are here to stand up to these artificial frequencies and to say, I will not be shoved around, told what to do. They, like us yogis, like your invocations, they use mantra as well to sublimate the mind and stay home, stay safe. We're all in it together. Do it for the greater good. We heard them over the last few years. So the tactics are almost similar to what healers can use. Yeah. But what is the agenda? And that's where we've got to come back to, and really trusting. Something I've had to learn very hard lessons, being more polarized on the healer side. Really why I like talking to people like you, Tone, because I need the warrior training. I need it personally. So this is good for me. And to say absolutely no when I get a sniff or a sense or even if I can't logically work out why, just that absolute bang, Carrie, don't second guess, don't people please, don't, and just, so that's what I'm learning. So the warrior training really helps us all, Tone. Yeah. I've got a question from a lady on Facebook. I said I promised her I would ask you direct. I believe I pronounced her name Maya. Sorry, Maya, if that's not right. But she's having problems with shielding. So she puts up shields to all of these energies. She's very awake, very aware to how the frequencies come and plug in. She's even so adept at how she can read energy that she's aware that blood that she's given to Red Cross over the years is now used as a way to activate and harness her DNA. Yeah. She wants to know the normal shielding doesn't work for her. Could you give any insights what she can do at this level, Tone?
Definitely start using stones, things like black tourmaline, shungite, any of your protective stones. This is why I have this on. It's literally a halo that goes around me, and it's like a lock around me. Nothing. I have not been attacked myself in ages since I started wearing this kind of stuff. So I would definitely recommend getting yourself some jewelry. Black tourmaline would be number one. Golden obsidian, south of the border in Mexico. All of the shamans wear golden obsidian. None of them get attacked. And that's the reason why. They know that from a frequency level, that stuff, it's like wearing armor. It's like wearing light armor that prevents these things from hooking into you. So yeah, if you're having a hard time shielding yourself, like get some extra protection through like golden obsidian, black tourmaline happen to be the two highest ones. Shungite for frequency protection, radiation, dirty electricity, and things like that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend getting you some jewelry. Also on the wrist, on your left-hand side, that's your blocking side. It's also your receiving side. But if you have something that blocks on that side, it'll block things from coming in on that side. So yeah, definitely get you some jewelry with black tourmaline, golden obsidian, shungite.
And of course, Tone, not that we plan to do a sales pitch, but you do make all these beautiful items yourself. So, for anyone who's listening, just know that Tone's giving up his time for free to do this show with me. And he is just a wealth of not just information and guidance, but just, the voice, the frequency, looking at his own architecture, whether that's physically or if you can see into his auric body. This is all service at a very powerful level. So if you do have the spare funds and also you need this level of protection, I'm obviously going to be encouraging anyone to be purchasing Tone's goods. I must get some pieces myself, Tone, but I'll put up links, of course, for anyone to come to you. So do you want to talk a little bit more about your enterprise there and why you have gone?
No, not even just myself, but just that is something that Rion and I both have noticed, that the attacks are far less frequent when you have proper shielding. You have the proper protective stones on you. He uses his pyramid technologies where he grinds up a lot of these types of stones and then he runs an electrical current through it throughout the room. And so that'll put that wavelength through that room. So if your bedroom, you've been having weird attacks at night, and you have a pyramid that is beaming out that type of frequency, oftentimes it'll make you much more protected in dream time. So, anything that's involving the protective stones, I'd highly recommend. I don't even want to toot my own horn. Wherever you can find them, I definitely recommend getting them.
Yeah, brilliant, brother. So good. And do you enjoy making everything?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is another one that Rion and I have said that in the times to come, one of the things that we're going to see a lot more of as people get more connected to their soul, creation is going to be something that starts expanding within humanity the way that it once was. So creating new things. This is art for me. It's art with a purpose, but any type of artwork, any type of singing, things like that, you're going to see an uprising again of that as people become more soul connected. And we're going to still see this bifurcation where one group is going to choose to lean more into tech and the whole, AI thing, but one group is going to lean far more into our inherent gifts that come from the soul. So we're going to see a lot more soul-based communities, a lot of people creating new things. And I think new things that we've never seen before are going to be coming to the forefront.
Well, it's so exciting. And when people get on board with, they are creators, they are cosmic beings having this temporary physical experience. There's this linear sense of a linear timeline here, which I know a lot of people, and you were referencing it as well, a lot of people get that hook in voice to skull and technology beaming at them and wanting to suicide, wanting to leave the planet, wanting to leave the quote unquote galactic game. But there is something comforting about a linear time frame, and knowing that the multidimensional aspects come in. I see them coming in like vertical spears coming into that linear time frame. And linear is comforting because you can keep building upon what you've already created, and your memory bank is online. When we cross over and come back to these kind of dimensions, we come in with the spiritual amnesia. And so it takes us, many people, a long time to kind of wake up out of that. The types of people that are drawn to these shows probably always had a sense that we were more than what the programming told us that we were. But linear is comforting to me. I find that, okay, can we this time, Tone, and I don't know, can we this time not have to leave our vessels, go offline, lose our memories, come back in? Can we hold these vessels with our memory banks intact? Can we open it up more so we can go visiting the Akashic records at will? drawing in what we need in the now moment to continue this journey of expansion and delight and sensuality and love and beauty and all of the creations that we came to really experience and weave through. I hope that we can. I've started to have some very expanded feelings that this time we hold this vessel, we hold our memories, and we move into, whether we call it fifth dimensional consciousness, doesn't really matter. They're terms that have been hijacked, so I get cautious about using 5D now. But it's that expanded consciousness where we're not at the mercy of the dark false matrix. And that dark false matrix serves its own purpose because it activates, it propels us. It's the opponent that we need to stand up to command our fields. But what are we doing beyond that once we've broken free? And what's your insights, Tom? What's been coming through for you?
Well, and again, even with what you said there, one of the things that we can start doing, just because we can have a conversation like this, means we have more awareness than we had in previous incarnations. But one of the things that we can actually do to increase the chance of bringing those memories back is, as we are drifting off, you literally say the affirmation, I will remember everything with clarity upon coming back into 3D. My recall will be 100% when I drop back into my body. I will remember all of my astral experiences. So as you're saying that as you're drifting off to sleep, even the subconscious mind, that's the last thing it's holding on to. And so it's knowing, hey, that's important that he remembers, she remembers when they come back. And so a lot of times just that invocation again and again and again, as you drift off, as you start drifting back in, it's remembered. Don't forget, remember. And then you'll go, whoa, I remember being in, the 12th dimension flying. And so, yeah, the invocation and saying it's making it that important that I will remember it with vivid clarity where I travel to. And, if your goal is to get to the 12th dimension, you say that as well. Okay, tonight I want to go far beyond the quote unquote fifth density. I want to go see back to my light realm. But upon returning, I want to remember. And you can literally just say that, remember as you.
I'm just so determined to bring in a maximum frequency into my circuitry, not go offline, stay. I mean, I'm not attached to the Carrie-Ann Fields persona vessel. It's not about that. But to not go offline, to not have to go through the death rebirth process, come back through the womb. Yeah, this is where I'm at, guys. I'm just okay. And my dog, and I want to talk about animal telepathy because my dog just turned 16 and he is dispensing the wisdom teachings at a whole other level. He's showing me that he's like this primordial white wolf from Sirius, and and all the battles that the wolves get into, supporting the humanoids in different galaxies, different dimensions. These ancient beings from Sirius who are still in their wolf form, and here he is in this little golden cocker spaniel form, dispensing all this wisdom. I'm like, either I'm completely crazy, but I wrote a post tone and it was so on point. It was so, you got to be bold sometimes to put this stuff out there because, you're going to get ridiculed, let's be honest. But that's okay because the wisdom needs to come through. The perspective from the Syrians needs to come through. Everyone's wanting to get out there into these other star systems, but how are we reflected to them? How are they reflected to us? It goes both ways. There's a system going on where we're all supporting and helping each other as a galactic experience. So you really start to zoom out even more. And where is that balance point? And where is that being okay also with battle? We talked about it before. Some people have a problem even with the fact that we're in battle. We're in a war on consciousness. If you don't engage at some point, you're like a sitting duck. That's energy is going to just be ripped, siphoned, plugged in somewhere else, and as I said, building someone else's empire. But this powerful way that the animals, nature, trees, are speaking to us. It's nothing new to our Indigenous and the psychics. They've been like waiting forever for everyone to get back online and become part of the whole and have this corresponding communication back and forth that works for the all, works in a true ecosystem way, where there is just pure harmony and pure creation and pure love. We deserve that, and we're moving into that. I want to come back and talk about bifurcation, but what does that look like before we go to where some beings are going? What is that expanded reality again, Tone? What does that look like?
It's funny because you and I actually did talk about this briefly the last time we had a discussion, but what I had said back then still holds true, and probably even more now. If we look at this as a simulation, if we look at this as a holographic overlay, this 3D reality here on this particular earth, what's real? Spirit. Spirit is real. Where's the highest concentration of spirit? Nature, because it's the least corrupted. It has the least amount of that holographic overlay artificiality. It has the highest concentration of spirit moving all the way through it. And animals are a wonderful teacher because they don't have the ego the way we do. So a lot of times when they express, it's a very pure spirit is expressing from that animal. And to even go into what you were saying, the telepathy, they never lost that. It was only us that had that programmed out. So if anything, they're teaching us, hey, catch up. You guys once had this. Come back to where we once were, because we once communicated mind to mind and heart to heart with all of God's creatures down here. And it was through
my dog, Tone, I'm just going to interject and hand it back to you, but my dog, said exactly what you've just said. I know that sounds funny to people listening, but, once you get on board with telepathy, and look, guys, it's not like my dog speaks like this. It translates, frequency translates as a voice in my head that makes sense to me, just so people are aware of how this works. Same with trees, same with stars, same with any consciousness, But yeah, he said just that, Tone, so confirming that. And he was saying, the animals here, they, unlike us who go through the spiritual amnesia for a specific purpose, spiritual amnesia is not wrong. It's a choice the soul makes to really test itself, to be honest, to wake back up out of the we call it in yoga the Maya. I'm trying to think of the word, the translation, the illusion. But animals, it's said, and nature, they're not offline. They're fully online, and they're here as helpers, as wisdom keepers, as guides. So, hand it back to you, brother.
Yeah, I actually did an experiment a few years back with a dog that we had where I could see it looking like into my eyes, like it was trying to look for something. And so what I would close my eyes and I would put an image up in my mind's eye of the dog sitting. I'd open up my eyes and the dog would look in my eyes a second more and sit. So like I knew that dog was literally able to watch the vision screen that I had. I'm like, these animals are fully telepathic.
Yeah, and they're in the astral too. Like I'm watching Coconut, that's his name. I'm in anything tropical time, and the dog's got okay, that's more cool. But yeah, and it's being 16, and he's on the CBD oil, and he's a groover, and he's still going, still walks every day. But obviously, at 16 for a dog, that's old, and he's rickety. But when he's sleeping, and it's been very intense, I would say for the last, maybe 3 weeks' time, whatever he's doing in the astral, he is off and racing. Like he lays on his side sleeping at night and the legs are going 10 to the dozen. Now his body can't do that in this dimension, but wherever he is, it goes to show their third eye's on, some of these animals. And wherever he is, man, he's going for it. He's having a great time. And it's almost like therapy, I suppose, because then he'll wake up in this dimension. Oh yeah, I can get up and walk again without the arthritis. So yeah, it's amazing what's happening in terms of the animal telepathy coming online for a lot of people. Also the nature spirits coming online for a lot of people. As basic as it sounds, to encourage people to see the faces in the trees, to communicate with the trees, to seek guidance, because it's all well and good, and we say it ad nauseum, go to nature, do these things, but are people truly connecting, even if they're in nature, or they're like, oh, I'm bored, quick, go home and get back on the iPhone and see what's happening on Facebook. So it has to be a communication within nature that feeds and nourishes the soul, that feels like the best friend, that hey, I'm surrounded by beauty and love and magic and wisdom, because that's the reality. That is the reality of what we're living in. You know, we talk about the archons, and we need to have these conversations, because that's there too. But we are the commanders of this reality, and going forward into that 5D or beyond, wherever people see that expanded consciousness field, new earth, wow. But let's talk about the other timeline, Tone, because, you know, there has to be enough of a conversation and maybe enough of a rattling of the cage for people that are asleep at the wheel of their own consciousness journey, to understand that there's ramifications for consenting to some of these agendas that have been rolled out. So what's the bifurcation about, Tone, in layman's terms, for someone who hasn't, you know, heard of this before?
Well, the simplest terms is artificiality versus organic creation. Which direction do you want to go, and which direction is the artificial side trying to get you to go, is to lean more and more into that artificiality. And they're doing that through every mechanism imaginable right now, through your food, through your water, through your air, the chemtrails, through every type of medicine that comes out of big pharma. All of these things are loaded with nanotech, loaded with AI. And of course, in these shots, they're loaded with synthetic mRNA, with a different type of code to your DNA to rewrite that. And so on the one flip side of things, that side of that bifurcation is to lead you down that path of being the synthetic human being versus the fully organic human being. But then also from the state of consciousness, what does that do? The artificial inorganic being now has so much tech in them that eventually the goal is the cloud that is being put up there by the tens of thousands of satellites. Eventually that will become the mind of that collection of humans that have leaned all the way into that tech. So basically, the more of that tech you have in you, you become an antenna for that cloud up there. And now it is beaming more and more of its consciousness into yours, kind of pushing your consciousness out of phase as the primary governor. And so now the more you lean into that artificial side, the more of that tech that you put in your body deliberately, especially through the you-know-whats, but even with the stuff they're amassing in you. And this is another reason why metal detoxing, fasting, things like that, clearing your system out on the regular are very important. But as long as you're not just compounding that by deliberately putting that stuff in you, the better of a fighting chance you have. So on the flip side of that, what are we seeing? We're seeing the organic energies pouring in are beginning to activate the quote unquote dormant DNA in many people. That dormant DNA had locks put into it at one time. The energies pouring in are unlocking that DNA, switching it back on. And so what are we seeing as a result of that? People are becoming hyper empathic. People are becoming hypersensitive to energy. People's third eyes are coming on. Telepathy is increasing exponentially in these times. I can't count how many people I've had say, whoa, what you wrote today, I was just thinking about that. Even on a subconscious level, it's a collective telepathy taking place that's washing through the collective. And we are picking up on that telepathic signal. So on the organic side of things, we are switching back on, hence why there is a blitzkrieg from the inorganic to try to prevent that. And that's why they're trying to infiltrate us. So this is the bifurcation that we're seeing taking place. They know on the one side, the energies coming in are switching humans on more and more and more. So they're saying, no, you need this. Take our treatment. And if they do it under the guise of you'll live forever, we'll cure cancer. And maybe some of that is true. They might on the surface cure cancer, but at what cost? And I can tell you, being an energy worker, having my third eye switched on, the more that I have seen a person that had many of these jibby jabbies, when I look at that person and the person says, I don't feel right, what it looks like to me is their soul, normally being like this, is here. So what these things are doing, it's literally pushing the soul out of phase with the vessel. And the weirdest part about it is the soul can't completely leave in a lot of these people, but it can't get back to center. And so basically what I said at the beginning is this is doing the thinking, the cloud up here, and pushing the governor that normally would be running your avatar out of phase enough so that that is doing your primary governance. So that another reason to try to get this stuff out of you and don't keep taking the juju that they give you is so that you can have these natural abilities come all the way back on. And also as they come back on, your intuition goes through the roof, your discernment goes through the roof. You can smell a lie from miles away. And I can tell you, like when this whole COVID thing started, my higher self literally was screaming in the back of my mind, don't go near that. Don't let your loved ones go near that. It's absolutely designed to take you offline. And I knew it. And the more that I stuck with that and the more I kept speaking to my higher self, hey, keep me safe, the more that it was like an alarm system constantly going off. This variation, my higher self was literally going, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I smelt it. I don't know. I know that sounds funny, not to you, but I smelt it. It smelt off. That's how I knew. And what was I smelling? I don't even know. It was like, that stinks. Like, no, we're not. I came out like a raging bull tone. Like most people are used to me. Like I'm 27 years in business, but most people are used to me in my business. Like, you know, very sweet natured, and I was like, right. We're getting out there. And I lost a lot of people out of our tribe because they're like, Carrie, you can't, you know, you're being aggressive. I wasn't being aggressive. I was just bringing my warrior online that wasn't about to be drawn into this program. And as, you know, whoever wanted to come in our personal My Health tribe and stepped out, you know, like yourself, I suppose. I didn't follow you before that, but, you know, I guess a lot of us stepped out and when we need to, this is part of our mission, took the hits and kept going. So, you know, it's very powerful. But I'll tell you what, Tone, just when you were talking then about what I was being shown, when you were saying the soul's out here for the people on the you know, took the poison arrow, I saw how they're doing that digitized facial recognition. So it'll supplement and suck into what was the face. This is the thing, again, this theme I keep getting about architecture in the aura. So they're putting that architecture in, that digital, almost like looks like the Matrix green and, you know, the green boxes coming in over the face. So that actually is how they're hooking in. I could see it so clearly when you were describing that. So it sucks into the face and it becomes the new identity, the new persona. You know, and some people are just waking up to how a persona has been used in terms of like our birth bonds and, you know, where our soles of the feet didn't hit the ground at birth because of the program to have a birth certificate. And then that is the straw man effect. So this is actually escalating now to a digitized version of self that, you know, is probably in there screaming, trying to remember, hey, I'm cosmic, I'm God, goddess, all that is, and can't get out of the loops that it's running on the neural system. It's so fascinating how this works. And I know for a lot of us healers, you know, working with people now to draw the soul back into the vessel and rearrange that, you know, that architecture. Yeah, I'm going to share some imagery when I do some editing on our show and share what I've been seeing in terms of divine architecture. I feel like it's the perfect time to kind of release what I've been shown. Anyway, I'm sure we could keep talking, Tone, and we will another time. I have no doubt. I'm going to let you go because you've just
got a lot of editing to do.
Not a lot of editing. The perfect show. the perfect chat. And look, Tone, we're going to close out with a little bit of our track here. Here. Remember, everyone, to go and download this track from Spotify, Apple Tunes, wherever you find this, you need it. I'll turn it off for now. And we'll close out our show. Thank you so much, Tone. Any final words from you, brother?
No, listen, just stay on top of your energy, and, you know, no matter what, just know that you are an infinitely powerful spirit. Always lean into that connection to that infinite powerful spirit within you, surrounding you. Keep your connection to your higher self, to the creator, as your most paramount importance, because it will be in the times to come.
Love you, brother. Thank you so much, Tone.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Damn, Dragon King, this is pure fire.